So those drivers with the money, with a price tag attached to them, are still very influential. They're still going to shape a lot of decisions taken by a lot of schools over the course of the next few years. So there's nothing wrong with the business case, but the worry about that is, of course, it distracts us from what lies behind the version of ESD that SEED and other organizations have been seeking to bring forward for so many years now. When I was a trustee of WWF, it always seemed to me crucial that we didn't just talk about this thing as if it was automatically the right thing for all schools, but why was it the right thing? What lies behind it? And SEED has picked up that challenge again, and I am delighted that SEED is now back on the scene and able to keep that advocacy role going in a powerful and eloquent way. So I am worried when I hear some of the early signals from the department about a possible exclusive focus on content and knowledge rather than on values and practice. The idea of ESD being stripped of its values base and ESD being detached from the notion of schools as exemplars of sustainable living, that doesn't strike me as very intelligent. The idea that you could do this purely through a curriculum-led approach to content seems so primitive as to be practically impossible. So let's just hope that doesn't happen. But you can see how it might happen. You can see how you would seek to strip down the notion of sustainable development and sustainable schools to the bare bones of what a content-led curriculum looked like, missing out on all the much deeper, more nuanced, textured approaches to ESD that we're very familiar with. So it's all up in the air there, but that makes it all the more important for us to continue to bring forward these success stories. As Penny said, we are surrounded by success stories here. They're not yet universal. They're not yet understood and shared by everybody, but we know what that looks like. We know how powerful that can be. And we know ultimately what that means for the lives of young people today. And it does seem to me we have to keep coming back to that. What is it that this is doing to make lives better for young people today? I must admit that I was one of those who was nearly distraught at parts of the government's Act on CO2 information and education campaign, not least the advert that featured a father reading to his daughter late at night with a little book, and I'm sure you all remember this ad, thank God now gone from our lives, in which their home is overwhelmed by an apocalyptic deluge induced by climate change, focusing in on this little girl's teddy bear sinking beneath the waves, with the ringing line at the end of it, "Daddy, does this story have a happy ending?" And voice off from the department saying, "Well, that depends on us." Well, really, you thought to yourself, if you were a little girl of that age and you saw your teddy bear sinking beneath the waves and you were told, "That depends on me," you would begin to think whether this was quite right and whether we got the balance of responsibility and the challenge of empowerment quite right. And if we are party in any way to an overall framing of sustainable development that disempowers young people, that leaves them without a sense of hope, that seems to imply that we've made such a total cock-up of everything in managing the planet, as it were, that there's nothing for them to do other than choose the method of terminal destruction which will sweep in over us. If that's what we leave young people with, then really we will have failed absolutely. Absolutely. So I know that at the heart of ESD lies the concept of empowerment. Without that, ESD has no real power at all. It doesn't have the kind of coherence, proselytizing coherence that we really need. So for me, the brilliant examples that I see when I visit schools and see what's going on out there lies in this empowerment capability. And just to end, it still is slightly astonishing to me that young people aren't as angry as I think they should be, positively angry, if you like, and prepared to go out there and remind us that if we aren't doing this in the right kind of way, then it is such a deep betrayal of whatever concept of stewardship you might like to think about, that it beggars belief. So how do you do all of that? Keep the thing ticking over, do the empowerment, encourage anger without necessarily having the anger descend on your heads, and enable young people today to become the champions for the future in the way that we know is necessary. Anyway, just a few incoherent thoughts, because I have no more insight into where this particular government is going to go over the next year than any of you. And there are some people here who probably do have better insights than I do. But I'll shut up at that point. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Sorry. So, thank you. Any questions?